Good morning, everybody. This is Michael Kittner, and I'm doing another one of these video posts that I hate doing so much. And the reason I don't like doing them is, believe it or not, I'm actually shy, camera shy, and I get stage fright and all that good stuff. And so I don't do these videos, and I don't stay on Facebook to bolster my ego like so many other people do. It's actually my newspaper, and if it wasn't for these alternative news sites, I wouldn't even be on Facebook, to be honest with you. I don't read any of your guys' posts, just so you know. I don't have time. I don't even have time to read the comments on my own page. There's 5,000 people on there. I just don't have time to keep up with it. I don't even have time to answer a lot of your guys' messages. I appreciate you guys following me and all that. I'm not nobody special. I'm just another patriot, another American citizen. There's nothing special about me, so I am flattered, and a lot of people like to point out that I do these things for attentions or to see how many likes I get or how many shares I get. I don't even look how many likes I get or how many shares I get. So whoever's saying that, it's a false statement. I have no idea. There's no way I could even keep track of my own page. Plus, I have the group page, Michael Kittner's Wake Up America, in the new Michael Kittner's Wake Up America group page on Facebook. So if you're not on there, get on there. I got some prolific posters on there with lots of really good stuff and some great articles, some great information, and that's stuff you're going to find on the lamestream media. And this country's biggest problem, I think, is the lamestream media, because all they do is lie. Everything on there is fake. You can't believe nothing they say, and they're ran by the state, so they're going to give us what they want to give us, and they're going to take away what they want to take away. Now, I want to touch on a few things this morning, and one of those things I want to talk about is Obama coming on here yesterday and talking about the gun grab and his executive orders, and I want to touch base on this Oregon thing and the Second Amendment and things like that, and things in the Constitution. As you can see, I'm wearing my Oath Keepers shirt this morning. Actually, Brittany's, because she wore mine. So it's a little small, but the reason I wanted to wear this Oath Keepers shirt is because, you know, I went to a bunch of these rallies. I picked up this shirt, and, you know, I was part of a couple different groups, and you know, we swore an oath, the same oath that the military and Congress and supposedly the president, which I don't believe that he did, maybe swore on the Koran, but and police officers and everybody else. You know, there are American citizens that have taken the same oath, and they stand beside it. And just like some of these law enforcement officers and sheriffs and military, you know, we've all sworn an oath to defend the United States, the Constitution, the American people, and with our life against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And domestic. And I'm finding out we've got just as much domestic terrorists around here as we do foreign terrorists. And, you know, the definition of terrorist in Patriot Act and then the anti-terrorist bill, they said, you know, it's not some Middle Eastern who rides a camel carrying a bazooka on his back with a towel on his head, going around raping and murdering children and women, that wants to kill Americans. That's not their definition of terrorism. In that bill and that act, it says you know, anybody mocks the United States government is considered a terrorist. That's pretty much all of us, you know. So we're the enemy, we're the terrorists in the eyes of our government, and the cameras and microphones are all pointed at us and not across the ocean where they need to be. And none of these federal agencies are working. They're not working for us. They're not working for the country. They're not doing their job. They're not upholding their oath. And starting with the president all the way down to our local mayors and city councils and state representatives, lots of these, the majority of these people are not holding their oaths. And soon time will tell whether law enforcement holds theirs or not. I believe that we will be divided. Half of them will hold their oath to the government. The other half will hold their oath to we the people. Only time will tell. And when bullets start flying, we're going to surely sort all that out. Now, on the Obama thing, yesterday I sat here and I watched him come on the news and how he's going to executive orders and executive action and once again go above Congress, which is illegal, and try to pass these executive orders on gun control. Who knows what they're going to be? It might be an all-out gun grab, or it might be some more restrictions. Now, he said on there that this is to stop all these suicides, unnecessary deaths, and these mass shootings and these school shootings. And he needs to protect Americans, and that they need to protect innocent children and everything. So I want to show you something. And he said this is statistically proven, and that actually gun owners support him and support this idea, which he's full of shit. All right, I'm gonna minimize this here. Hang with me. But right here you can see there are a total number of deaths from gun violence in 2015 was 13,338. In 2014 there was 12,575. So the last 2 years there was about 25,000, 26,000 deaths. All right. Now, if you were to take a calculator and divide that by 90 million gun owners, I think that you're going to find out that this country is fairly, very successful in behaving themselves with guns. And unfortunately, no matter what you do with this, or how much gun control that you have, it's not going to get that number down to zero. It's just never going to happen. Alright? And you see it only went up like from 12,500 to 13,300. Or about 800 more deaths. So it's not like it's like this booming rise that they're making it out to be. And half these gun shootings, the ones they show on TV, aren't even real. And they're all just false flags and crisis actors and fake blood and I'm not saying people didn't die or children didn't die, but we just will probably never know because the government and the news lies all the time. So, you know, he wants to bring up the statistic card. We're looking at the statistic card right now. Right there it is, in your face. 13,000 last year. Now, he wants to save American lives, and he wants to protect American lives, and he swore an oath to protect American lives, and he wants to stop unnecessary deaths and unnecessary innocent children getting killed. Well, here's some more statistics for you. Right here in the United States today alone, just today, 1,157 children, innocent children, have lost their lives to abortion. And they never did a dang thing to anybody. They didn't even have a chance at life. And they were unarmed. Imagine if they were armed. I bet you these mothers would think again about having their baby aborted. Alright, so worldwide this year, there's already been 486,000. That's 500,000 deaths so far, and that's clicking as we count. Since I loaded this page about 15 minutes ago, there's been 1,250 deaths by abortion. Alright? Now, people may say, well, what about rape and incest? You should be able to get an abortion then, right? Well, okay, I agree with you. They should have it right then. Alright, but here it says 127.1 have already been killed this year due to rape or incest. Alright? That's just a fraction of the rest of these. In the United States this year, there's been 13,108 abortions. And that number's going up as we speak. 13,000! Remember that. Abortions. We're trying to save unnecessary deaths and save the lives of innocent children? I think right here should be a good start. 13,108 and climbing by Planned Parenthood. Nearly 4,000 already this year. That's quite a bit. They've already killed over 6.6 million since 1970. As you can see, that our president and this government so concerned about saving lives and innocent children's lives. Well, let's start where we can save the most first, all right? And let's not worry about our gun control. Now, hang with me. Make sure I'm dialed in here. I want to show you something else. All right, I want it right back where I want it. I'll be right back. I got to go to my kitchen. Now, we know that Obama supposedly knew the Constitution really well before he took office. They made sure of it so that he could use it to his benefit when he passes all these laws. And try to find ways, loopholes in the Constitution so that he can change all these laws and do whatever he wants when he was here, which is to bring down this country and destroy it. And that's what he's doing. But I don't think he was in school that day when they were talking about the Second Amendment. Right here, it says the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, it must have been pretty important to our founding fathers who made a great sacrifice in fending off another tyrant, the King of England, ran them back across the ocean. These people put their lives at risk. They could have all been slaughtered by England, but they didn't. They put up a fight. A lot of people died. Our ancestors died. And we ran the bastards back across the ocean so that we could live free. And we wanted to make sure that this never happened again throughout history when they were dead and gone. And that the reason they wrote this Constitution was to be a guarantee and ensure that that never happened again. And the reason they put the Second Amendment in there about the guns wasn't so much that we could protect ourselves against an intruder, or women were being raped that they could defend themselves, or somebody was trying to rob us of our property and break in our house and, you know, steal our stash of money in the safe or whatever. And it wasn't so much so that we could go hunting or have all these, you know, for sporting, shooting clay pigeons, whatever. This was for where we're at today. When our government gets too big for our britches and they start not following the law, but they expect us to do it. All right, we're following the laws and they're not. They're free and we're slaves. All right, this is exactly why they wrote this thing. That's why they wrote the Second Amendment, so that when the day came when the government got too big for the britches, we could all grab our guns and we could rise up, throw them out, give them the right to due process. Nobody's trying to break any laws here. We have the right to give them proper arrest. They have a right to a proper trial with a jury before their peers, and then they have the right to be properly hung by their snake traitor necks for ignoring this Constitution, breaking their oath to defend it and us, the American people, and put us in the tyrannical state that we're in now, and passing all these laws that are unconstitutional, that interfere with our freedoms, rights, and liberties to remain free, and things like that. And what we're seeing out here in Oregon, I'm gonna play both sides of this one when we get to it. The same thing we're seeing out in Oregon. This is all really timed together. I don't think the timing on this with the Oregon thing, Obama going for the gun grab and being the first of the year, And you know, the stock market yesterday, the Chinese stock market took a plunge. I think this is all tied together. I think this was all planned out, and I'm going to touch base on that in a minute. But what it all comes down to, people, no matter whether you agree with the Oregon thing or you don't agree with the Oregon thing, that you know, you believe this one thing and you believe the other thing. We're going to touch base on that in a minute. I don't want to get too much further into all that. But this rancher up there already went to court, was already sentenced. He paid off his fines. He did his time. And now the federal government says, no, that's not good enough. You're going to do what we think. And now they had to go and turn themselves into prison for 5 years. So, no matter what you think about the Oregon thing, or who's right, who's this, and who's that, and how this may be going down wrong, or whether it may be going down right, none of that opinion really matters. The main thing about this whole thing is that their Fifth Amendment rights were violated. Now, when we read to the Fifth Amendment, because Obama and Sheriff David Ward out there in that county, and the governor and the senator, everybody in Oregon that has this jurisdiction over this matter, they're all guilty of breaking their oath if they allowed these men to go back into prison. Because the Fifth Amendment says, Obama wasn't there at school that day either, maybe the sheriff wasn't either. Fifth Amendment says, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment of indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia when in actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be put twice in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor to be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. All right, this thing that's going on and out in Oregon, you see right here, it says it right here. So why isn't anybody else doing anything about this? All right, if you and I go out and we break the law and we go to court, let's say DUI. You say we go in for a DUI, and your lawyer and the DA come to a plea agreement because you're guilty. You know you were guilty, right? So you come to a plea agreement and you're going to do 1 year in jail. And you're going to pay a $1,000 fine. Just an example. And you sign that plea bargain and everything. And then you go off to jail for your year. You max out your time and they let you out. You hand them the $1,000. That's paid off. Your commitment has been fulfilled. You have done your time. You had paid your debt to society. It's over with. It's done. It's behind you. It's in the past. They can't come back after you get out of jail and pay that $1,000 and say, hey, Mr. Kittner, we changed our mind. We're going to put you in jail for 5 years and give you a $50,000 fine. They can't do that. That is double jeopardy. It says it right there in the Fifth Amendment. Now, none of these Congress, senators, governors, Cuomo, all of them, people in this administration and the last administrations, I don't care. People say I'm racist because of Obama. I don't care whether he's black, white, yellow, green, and I don't care Bush, Clinton, all of them. They're all snake traitors. None of them are following this Constitution. None of these representatives in Congress are following this Constitution. None of these people are following the laws of the land. Well, I think our founding fathers would tell us, or say to us today, if they were here today, they'd say, well, if the government doesn't follow the laws, then why should the people? They're supposed to lead by example. And the reason that we have the Constitution is to keep the government in check and to keep us free. And that power has shifted over to we, the government, rather than we, the people. So we are become slaves, and they're free. They're free to do whatever they want, and there's nothing we can do about it, right? And these people up there, bottom line, their Fifth Amendments were violated. They are being held against their will. They are being held captive, and they are being held as hostages. In my personal opinion, they are being held hostages out in Oregon. All right? They are hostages. They're not prisoners. They're hostages. Call it what it is. People should be having a fit over this. And the Second Amendment, all these talks about gun control and restrictions and registration. It doesn't say that. It says it shall not be infringed. It doesn't say, all right, well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep arms shall not be infringed. But if there's a school shooting, then we can't have this amendment no more. Oh, but if there's a shooting at a mall, we can't have this amendment no more. But you know where I'm getting at. It doesn't say anything like that. It says shall not be infringed. Yes, there are certain people that have no business owning a gun. They're irresponsible or they're loopy and crazy. And if they want to do gun control and you want to put restrictions on guns and the types of people who are to own guns, I think I would start with Congress first. Because I tell you right now, I don't know about you, but if I was to make a list of people that I wouldn't want to have guns in this country, it would be our government and the mainstream media, because they can't be trusted. They've been proven over and over, day after day. We'll find out today, tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, next week, next month, next year, that they're nothing but liars and traitors and snakes. And, you know, this whole freedom of the press thing, if you want to amend something, maybe it should be that. Because the press was first initially made so that they could report back to we the people of what the three branches of government were up to. It's kind of like when you go into, you know, you're at work when you have a meeting and all the employees come in and they'll talk about safety and they talk about ISO 9000 or whatever, teamwork training. And they also will have it at the notes from the main meetings, you know, where all the department heads get together and they discuss how they're going to make the plant run better and how they're going to save money, make it safer. And they have these notes from the meeting, and they take these notes and then they come out and they post it on the bulletin board at work for all the employees to see what did they talk about. Well, it says here they talked about that, it says they talked about this, and this is the conclusion they came to. They voted on this and they voted on that. And then they report it back to we the people. And that's what the press was intended for. And it was actually journalism one time that these prostitutes were reporting, and it was good solid stuff, and it was news. This is not news. This is all Hollywood. These guys are nothing but liars. You can't believe nothing they say. They're nothing but puppets for the globalists and the New World Order and the Rothschilds and Soroses and all those rich banksters and Wall Street people and big pharma and gas companies and oil companies, all these rich tycoons, billionaires and all this. They're the ones that are controlling the media. They're the ones that tell them what to say. There's been instances where there's been 5-star generals in the newsrooms making sure that these people report what they want them to report. People have come forward and they've said this thing. And these, you know, now that the media is out there in Oregon, I'm throwing a big flag up, because if they're out there covering it like that now they've had time to get out there. Now we've really got to be careful. These people out there in Oregon are sitting ducks. They're out in the middle of this field in one building. Don't think that our government couldn't take you out from the satellites or a drone 10 miles above the Earth, above the Earth, and take these guys right out. They don't need to send people in there, the FBI and everything, and they don't got to send all those people in there to take out all these guys. These guys are sitting ducks, man. If they should have picked a spot like out in the woods or in the forest, you know, somewhere where they got covered. the way these guys are going about it is going about it all wrong. I'm not saying it's about time somebody stood up and did something, but there's some different things that you need to know about before you make those decisions. I kind of laid back and I waited and trying to weigh this whole thing out. And I want to talk about a post that I read this morning. It's by a fellow here, Christian Yingling, and he said, "Okay, everybody, please gather around and listen to what I'm about to say. Then either shut your mouth or share this far and wide. If you have any faith in me as a leader, you will heed to what I'm about to say. If not, I don't want nothing to do with you. Simple as that. The key to victory in any battle is the ability to remain calm in any given situation. What we are seeing right now is a whole bunch of people acting basically solely on raw emotion. This is very bad, and I'm about to explain exactly why. And I'm not letting my emotions make my decisions for me, but instead looking at this form of calm, level-headed, common-sense approach. What you are all witnessing right now in Oregon has the makings of false flag event." And I agree. And I will prove that to you in the absolute best of my ability. Should you choose to look at this from a logical perspective, you will see that I'm 100% correct. Some of what I tell you is speculation based on my own experiences and others I have talked to throughout this ordeal. Most of what I'm going to tell you is documented, verifiable fact. Back during the Bundy situation, Ryan Payne declared himself the unofficial leader of the militias present at the Bundy Ranch. Nothing could have been further from the truth. In fact, none of the militias listened to him at all. The ones who listened to him were the Bundys. Blaine Cooper, who Payne claimed was a professional security consultant, who turned out to be nothing more than an ex-con, a Buddha bear, nice name, who he also claimed was a professional security consultant, but was later discovered to be nothing more than a tattoo artist thug. The militia ignoring these three is precisely why that situation didn't get into a bloodbath. Strangely enough, all three are present at the refuge. I and Scott Woods were asked on one occasion by Payne to go and destroy BLM equipment in the middle of the night. We refused, stating that that's not why we were there. We were there solely to defend the family. That very same night, he rushed off in the car with a loaded AR to start a violent altercation with the Leos, who supposedly pulled over members of the American militia off exit 10 near the ranch. This report was never vetted, nor was it looked into before he rushed off. It was also well documented that Payne had tried to incite the other militia members to start violent altercations with the authorities who were present there, all of which were refused by militia members, all for the same reason. We were not there to start a fight, but to defend the family. When people refused, Payne, Cooper, and Buddha orchestrated them and ran them off the ranch. Ostracized them, sorry. This is why most militias left the ranch when they did. One other point worth mentioning was there were militia members present with long-range 50 caliber sniper rifles, but instead of positioning them on the hilltops surrounding the ranch, Payne had them stationed down in the valley where they were effectively useless. Does that sound like the makings of a leader to you? And also, Payne was also making sure that certain that there was one completely undefended access to the point. I brought this up to him, asking why he would leave our back door completely open and undefended, and he completely blew me off. What he was doing, in fact, was leaving an access point for the authorities to bum rush the ranch if that's what they felt needed to be done. And I have witnessed this to prove it. Now, throughout the situation, Payne repeatedly made threats to the law enforcement on national media. There's a video of him doing this. It's not hard to find. Yet, oddly enough, with all the evidence, he has never changed with anything during or after the standoff. Does that seem odd to anyone but me? Not if you're a paid provocateur. Troublemaker. I can't say that word. Now in this situation, see, this is what I'm talking about. I get so many notifications, I can't even read my own page. Okay. Now I lost my spot. Now in this situation at the refuge, he publicly stated to a reporter that he has snipers set up to kill any federal officials who approaches the refuge. Yet still, no charges being filed against him. Making threats like that, you'd think there would be swoop and scoop him up. But no, they're giving patriots time to get there. Don't think for 1 second with a couple of phone calls to the proper alphabet agencies, those schmucks won't sorely outnumbered. Tell you what, if you think Leos don't take the threats against them seriously, go to the nearest cop and walk up to him and tell him you plan on killing police officers and see what happens to you. See how long it takes for you to end up in prison. Yet Payne roams free. Does Blaine Cooper. Yet go ask Skyler Barbeau what happens when you threaten a public official. Oh wait, you can't. He's in prison. But of course, a Facebook post. Funny how that works, huh? Oh, has anyone else noticed until that situation has popped up? Payne was damn near silent on social media. Wonder why that is. Hell, most of you don't even know who he is. He also claimed to be an Army Ranger, but when we had someone at Ranger School check their records, they said no Ryan Payne had ever attended that school. Who would have thunk it? Myself and Scott begged the Bundys after we left via phone to stop listening to Payne and that he was a plant, but they refused to listen. Payne wouldn't let anyone talk to Bundys without him being present or close by. The Bundys are really God-fearing Christians, but they are terribly naive. They truly believe Payne is one of the good guys, which is why they are at the refuge right now. Do you honestly think for 1 second was Ammon's idea to take that building? If you do, you're a fool. They're not the type of people. Ammon has been suckered into this standoff by Payne and Cooper, who truly went up there with the intention of helping the Hammonds, and when they refused, the Bundys were made to believe that it was a stand against BLM was the answer. Nothing could be further from the truth. Now Cliven is on his way there, and the government is finally going to get their revenge on the Bundys, and in doing so, gain the access they need to their land. All the major players in the operation of that ranch will soon be together at the wildlife refuge. That's no coincidence, I assure you. Payne, Cooper, Pete, Santilli, well-trained troublemakers who are doing everything in their power to lure patriots into the ranch. Case in point, Santilli just released a video to try to say that the FBI was trying to shut him down. Don't you think if that were the case with all the resources that the FBI has, they would just go ahead and do it? Do you really think that schmuck is smart enough to outsmart the entire FBI? Think about it. Let us continue on Wildlife Refuge. How in the blue hell did they even know it existed if it wasn't pre-planned? And why were there trailers staged up there Thursday night if this was all unplanned? If they want to support so bad, why not to let the Oregon 3%ers and militia in on this? I'll tell you why. It's because you would have no part in it, and vehemently refuse if they had known, as was demonstrated by the response once they found out. So that being said, why pick a place so remote? No civilian casualties, and if anyone was there is killed, there's no witnesses allowing the government to write the narrative of what happened afterwards. You can bet any reporters out there will be silent should they get close enough to catch anything worth documenting, unless, of course, they're willing to report what they're told to. The reason it failed at the Bundy Ranch is because the community got so involved, not the case at the refuge. Next, why was a detachment of Delta Force deployed to the area? Does anyone remember the Delta was also at Waco? 19 sets of orders were cut for operations to be at Waco. Why in the blue hell would they send Delta to squash a bunch of organized, mostly unarmed protesters? I'll tell you why. One of the things Delta specializes is hostage rescue, i.e. blow open the door, rush in, shoot the bad guys, but save the good guys, i.e. embedded reporters from the national media who can later report the protesters fired first. This is happening exactly the same way Waco did. You know who else claimed we won't fire first, but if we will fire back? David Koresh. Again, a well-documented fact. This situation is going to turn out to be the exact same way. If these guys don't stand down now, while the sheriff is giving them an opportunity to, I promise you, it's going to turn out exactly the same way. I bet my life on it. Now let's look at poor John Ritzheimer. This guy is exhibiting all the classic signs of PTSD. It is my belief that he is not in on this plan, but likely the Bundys has been suckered into believing that he is doing the right thing. This poor bastard is still fighting the war in the head of assholes like Payne and Cooper are feeding into his delusions that dying for this cause is what he needs to do. They are taking advantage of his big heart and his undying love for the country he fought for and twisted him into a suicidal maniac. I'm sorry if that stings, but I assure you the cold hard truth. How can anyone in their right mind think about dying trying to fight the BLM, of all things, is going to change the government? How ignorant do you have to be to think that fighting and dying out there is going to be somehow make the BLM fold up shop and stop what they're doing? Sorry, kids, the only one who can stop the BLM are in D.C. And I can assure you, as long as the people like Harry Reid are around, the BLM is not going anywhere. No matter how much we fight and run them off, we ran them off at the Bunny Ranch, and how much did that slow them down? We ran them off at Sugar Pine Mine. How much did that slow them down? What makes anyone think it will be any different? Mind-boggling, I tell you. Now, to those of you who are buying into this whole "this will galvanize the movement" line of crap, what is really doing is to crush the patriot movement. They're going to hit these people with such force, with such blinding speed, at a level of violence of action that most patriots are going to turn and look at their own children and go, "There's no way in hell I want to happen to my family." Thus the reason there are women and children being taken to the refuge. The government has already shown at Waco and Ruby Ridge just how willing they are to kill American children. Don't think for 1 second they won't do it here as well. All the classic signs and psyops, they plan to frighten people into even daring to take a stand against them again. So what then on the militias? We'll be out there, we'll be forced into hiding. Those who aren't scooped up and charged as domestic terrorists. Do you, for even 1 second, really believe that this is happening at the same time as Obama prepares to announce the whole new slew of gun restrictions? Is really a coincidence? It's not at all. What's this going to be used is for an excuse to show why we need to disarm the American people for their own safety, or put in such place severe restrictions on owning firearms that we will never be able to properly defend ourselves against this tyrannical government. Hitler did it, Stalin did it, Mayo did it, now Obama's doing it. History is repeating itself in front of our own eyes, and we're too blinded by raw emotion to recognize it. If everyone is picked up and left that refuge tomorrow, what do you think Payne and Cooper would do? They're so diehard. Think they'd stay and fight? I mean, that's what they're saying. They're not leaving, right? Prepared to die for the cause, right? My ass. Nope. They'll sink back into the shadows, wait for the next opportunity to bamboozle good patriots and sign in their own death warrants. And of course, once again, neither will be charged with anything. And good people's lives will be risked for nothing. We're being goaded into the fight here, people. You need to see that. And every one of you who is advocating for this, know this. If these people die, it'll be your fault. Not mine, nor it would be the fault of anyone in my unit. I command. I simply won't allow it. This is the reason my troops follow me, because I take the time to think things through, to look at them from all directions, not based on sheer emotion, as so many of you are doing. Now, it was stated, dare I say, taught to me by a close friend who is an ex-Special Forces operator, that wars are not won by people taking rash actions such as the ones that we've seen taken here. Wars are won with proper planning. That shit hit me like a brick, and I will never forget those words as the smartest things I ever heard through this entire ordeal. Number 1, plan. Number 2, equip. Number 3, rehearse. And number 4, execute. That's how you win a battle. That's how you minimize casualties. That's how you win a war. None of that was done here. Therefore, these guys are all as good as dead. Why do you think the local sheriff there just said these guys and leave while you still can? Because he knows what's going to happen to them. He's offering them a way out, and damn it, they need to take it. First thing I teach my guys is why the unexpected contact with the enemy is. The proper response is to fall back, reset, and take back the initiative. That's what we need to do here. Will it look like a loss in their eyes of the people? Absolutely, but hey, you all had to better get used to the fact that we're not going to win every battle. But in the eyes of those who put this bullshit plan together, will be a crushing defeat. Even though it's never made public knowledge. We have let the enemy pick the time and the place of our fight, and that is about to prove to be a fatal mistake. Mark my words. But we can still snatch victory out of this whole screwed up mess. Only if you listen to me. How do we win then? Well, I'll tell you. We get these people out of here. Anyone who has ever contacted the people there needs to plead with them to get them the hell out of there. Then we regroup. Then we pick up the time and the place for the fight, not the enemy. We take them react. We pick the ground that's most sensible for proper defense, not a building in the middle of a field that has absolutely no defensible positions, as in the case of the refuge. Then we properly equip, plan, rehearse, and execute. If you want to win a war, that's how you have to do it. Most importantly, we expose frauds like Cooper and Payne, for they truly are, and drum out this movement before they really get somebody killed. So that takes my take on the mess. Listen to me if you want. Ignore me at your own peril. Either way, it's no consequence to me. I will not debate this issue. No one will change my mind about this. And I have done too much research in this situation to allow any armchair commando to dictate my actions for me. This is the war you all wanted so badly. Now either lead, follow, or get the fuck out of the way. End of the story. Please note, this post has been edited to provide more factual evidence, to include mention of Delta at Waco. So there you have that big, long post there by Kristen Yingling. And, you know, I'm going to kind of be on both sides of this, and it's no disrespect to Christian there. I obviously enjoyed his posts, and it has helped weigh in on some of my thinking. And I want to point out, I made some notes here. Let me get this, make sure this camera's still on. Okay. So, some of the things that, you know, you just heard me read in his post makes perfectly good sense. And I kind of got like the pros and cons of this. Kind of, I don't want to say devil's advocate, because I ain't the devil's nothing. I'm the devil's enemy. Number one, media is there. Psh. Number two, the timing with Obama's gun grab. This is just too coincidental. And these troublemakers that he's pointing out as troublemakers, Ryan Payne, Pete Santilli, Blaine Cooper, and this John Ritzheimer. The whole you heard the whole story behind that. And it kind of reminds me of this whole thing. Remember back when Mark Kessler, the chief of police down there in Pennsylvania, was shooting his gun. You know, you come and take it. Everybody thought that, hey, that's really cool. Mark Kessler, chief of police, man. This guy's out there, got this crazy video of him shooting the gun and defying the government. And it turns out he was working with the government on something. He was a plant. I don't know. So we got to be really cautious on these people. You know, a lot of people follow Blaine Cooper and Pete Santilli. I know I do. I'm not friends with Blaine Cooper on Facebook no more, and I listen to Pete Santilli's show. And you got to remember too that as patriots, we have like different levels of extremism. Some of us are just keyboard warriors, and some of us are, you know, ex-military. Some of us are really extreme, you know, like Blaine Cooper and Pete Santilli. You know, you see the videos, you listen to their shows, and you know, they want to get right in there. There's people that are even worse than that. There's people that are like sitting there right now, eagerly waiting to get some action, oiling their guns, waiting for the first bullet fly, so they can get out there and kill some people. And a lot of people think I'm really extreme because, you know, I've been in these 3%er groups and things like that, and I just don't fit in because I'm a little extreme. You know, I think that we are far beyond past the point of grabbing up our guns, taking arms, and taking this government down. Now, they did it peacefully, somewhat, in Iceland. There's no reason we can't do it here. There's plenty of us. There's 535 of them, and there's like 7.5 billion people on this planet, and there's 350 million people in this country against 535. You know, in Iceland, when they had all this going on with the banksters and corrupt politicians and them ignoring the Constitution up there in Iceland, well, the people of Iceland, they arrested them. They went and threw these bankers and these politicians, and they threw them in prison. They took back their government. They put people back in charge that they could trust. They reinstated the Constitution, and the country is flourishing. They're doing great. So there is a way to do it peacefully. And, you know, what he's saying here, I believe he's correct. I believe that they're sitting ducks, that there's more to this story that's being said. Yeah, you know, I know if I went and posted on Facebook, or I went downtown with my gun and said, you know, we're going to stay here until I'm dead, you know, I'm going to come out of there in a body bag. They're going to arrest me. They will not allow that. But it's funny, you know, still like this Black Lives Matter out in Ferguson and down in Baltimore and everything. And these blacks and whites and Hispanics, I don't want to just point out one particular group, but all these people that are out there rioting, burning down businesses and looting and setting cars on fire, and they're on camera in front of national TV in front of the whole world saying, you know, we need to kill this person, kill that person. We got people on the internet, Muslims and Americans, saying Donald Trump needs to be assassinated. Somebody needs to take out Donald Trump, and people need to kill Donald Trump. You know, none of these people are getting arrested either. You know I would. I guarantee you, if I said anything like that, I'd be arrested. And it's kind of funny that they're letting that go, because they want to pump up this division. They want to keep us divided. They want to start a civil war. They'd so much rather have us kill each other than for them to have to do it and clean up the mess. So don't think for 1 second this isn't all playing out in Obama's hands and all the gun grabber libtards across this country don't have a clue. These people are completely brainless. Brainless. They don't even qualify as stupid or dumb, because they have no idea why we have the Second Amendment. They have no idea why we have the Constitution. They have no idea about American history, world history. Because if they did, they would know what we know and would know the whys about it. They just don't know, because they're stupid. They have no business voting. I think that you should have to take a test and pass a test in order to vote in this country, because we don't need stupid people voting. That's more of a threat to us than people with guns. All right, there are people with guns that have no business owning guns. All right, but the Constitution says they can own a gun until they violate that. You know, if somebody goes out and kills a family for no reason and not defending themselves or whatever, or people take a gun and they go to school and they really do shoot up a bunch of kids, the people don't own a gun. You know, but these people that are getting arrested on stupid stuff, and all of a sudden now they can't own a gun, even though they've never been in trouble with a gun, they never used a weapon in a violent crime, because they got a police record, now they can't own a gun. I think that's going a little extreme and a little far too. And people say, well, people with mental conditions shouldn't own a gun either. Whoa! You're talking about 90% of the United States right there. Look at everybody around you. Go knock on your neighbor's doors. I guarantee you they're on some kind of pill. Everybody's got. I got PTSD. People's got bipolar and multi-personalities, depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, alcoholism, drug addiction. All these people, foreign veterans, you know, people that were in the military. All these people is really who they don't want having guns. Only ones that they want having guns is who they say can have the guns. And that's just going to be, you're going to find out that's going to be a very few limited people. They're going to be more than likely employees of one of these 3-lettered federal agencies and local law enforcement and things like that. And once they usher in this North American Union and this New World Order, I don't even believe our local police departments and sheriff's departments will even, they'll be on that list too. They won't be able to own guns. They'll be labeled as domestic terrorists. They'll be labeled as the enemy. They'll be under surveillance because, like I said, I think that there would be a equal division there. We just don't know until the time comes that half of the military, half of the law enforcement will defend their oath to the government and to the president, and the other half will defend their oath, that they know what their oath is and why they took the oath, and they understood the oath, and they're sticking by their oath, and they're sworn to their oath, and they're upholding their oath. These are the ones that are on our side, and we're on their side. Most of the sheriffs, but this Sheriff David Ward out there, where they're in Oregon, you know, he came on the TV, and you could tell this is not going to end well. and I believe something's going to happen today or tomorrow. We're going to find out how this is all going to end, and then we'll hear from Obama, and then it's really going to get ugly. I believe it's not just going to go away peacefully. This is really going to get ugly. Now, on the other hand, I want to point out too, in defense of some of the people that are up there, not necessarily Santilli and Cooper and all those guys, but I've read in an article, and I believe it to be true from a good source. The Hammonds were threatened. That's why they're not saying anything. They're going peacefully. I believe that from what I've read and what I understood is that they've really got the fear of putting these people, these Hammonds, and they turned themselves in. Not that they wanted to, not that they agreed with it, not that they felt like, yeah, they're putting in double jeopardy and their violent Fifth Amendment rights were violated, but they were scared to go to prison. I think that they were told, if you don't go to prison, and if you don't go to prison quietly, you're going to end up dead. Your family's going to end up dead. Everybody involved with this whole thing is going to end up dead. I think they were threatened by the powers that be. And, you know, and I've done some more research, and some people said that's not true, and I've looked into it, but the BLM wants that land. BLM is not even really a branch of our federal government. They're owned, foreign owned. They had no authority out there whatsoever. You know, BML wants to go in there. You know, Harry Reid and friends want that land because it is sitting on a gold mine. Now, some people say natural gas. I have still yet to find that one, but there is gold, diamonds in there, and uranium and arsenic. You know, I don't think that it's going to be some big gold rush there or big diamond mine being dug out for these diamonds or even the arsenic. I think that they're going in there for the uranium. I believe, this is just my belief and my opinion, I think this is all tied together. Yesterday with the stock market dropping, China is taking a plunge. I think there was a deal on the table with all this land and all this uranium and with China, because we owe them tons of money. We have no collateral because the gold's not there no more. The actual money they're printing as we speak, nonstop for indefinitely. That quantitative easing, another definition for that is unlimited, unstoppable printing of money indefinitely. That's what their quantitative easing is that they're rolling out the printing press, and who cares how much we print out, because we know it don't mean nothing, and it'll take care of everything. Well, it's not, because that's going to come to an end real soon. Financial collapse is around the corner. Any day now. May already have started. And the other thing I was going to say, we talked about that violated the Fifth Amendment rights. That's the key thing about all this whole thing. But now, here's another thing. The refuge manager, Chad Kargas, is with the Department of Interior. His wife, Rhonda Kargas, is the BLM manager, and they are married. So, kind of shady there going on. The federal land, no such thing. All right, there's no such thing as federal land. The only federal land there is Washington, D.C. That's it. And when these feds and the news and everything, you hear them say that this is federally owned land, and they talk to their guest on the show on the news, and they get the two different lawyers on there. Is this legal and is that legal? And they sit there and they lie to you. They might know a little bit about law that they might have learned in Harvard, and they got the fancy little plaque on their desk, but they must not have one of these, and they haven't read that, because the federal government doesn't own anything. The federal government isn't a company that owns anything. All right, if the federal lands, where did they get those lands from? Well, they got the lands from we the people. Well, did they pay money for them? Well, probably some of them they did. Where did that money come from? It didn't come from them. They're not just a bunch of millionaires that got all kinds of money to throw away. No, they got to get that money from somewhere, and that money comes from us and our hard work that we bust our ass every day, week after week, for that measly paycheck. That's our money that bought that land. That is our land. That refuge up there, that's ours. The land out there, that federal land they're talking about, that's ours. The fire that they started on federal land to create a backdraft so that it would save their land and their fields and their homes was federal land. So, and it was a controlled fire, so it's really not arson. Local authorities in this county, they didn't step up to put these fires out. They didn't get no help. All right? So they did what they had to do to protect their property, protect their prosperity. And they're doing what they got to do to protect their freedom and protect their Second Amendment rights out there. So, you know, and another thing is this Harry Reid, he's a traitor snake. These guys, these Harry Reid and Obama and Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and George Bush Sr., George Bush Jr., and all their administrations, Eric Holder and John McCain, John Kerry, and now Ryan, and all these people, Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein. The list goes on and on. I got a list around here somewhere, but it's a long list. These people are all traitors. These people all have violated their oath and that they swore to defend this Constitution and us, the American people. They all should be arrested. What gives them the right to be lawless criminals? Hillary Clinton's been involved with scandals since she's been out of high school. Non-stop. This woman has been involved scandal after scandal after scandal after scandal, and yet she's still up there running for president. The only thing that she should be running for is the Mexican border from Johnny Longarm of the law. And the rest of these people should be getting down to the local tailor and getting fitted for the noose to go the rope around their neck, because they're all traitors. They all violated their oath. They've all broken their oath to the Constitution. They've all broken their oath to defend the American people and defend the Constitution. When they're talking about changing the Second Amendment and they're not even paying attention to the Fifth Amendment, when these guys' case, they're breaking their oath. The sheriff is breaking their oath. He should have had him and his men standing there and defending these Hammonds from even going into that prison to turn themselves in. That's their job. That's what we paid them for. And the people in this county and that Oregon, out there in Oregon, this is what they voted for them for. That sheriff can be voted out, you know. These people need to vote him out. Unless there's more to this whole shady deal thing with the uranium, this little rinky-dink county town out in the middle of nowhere, and all these people there, and some of them saying they're not supporting it. Who knows if this ain't Rothschilds or Soros or Zionist money being thrown around there throughout the community like it was in Sandy Hook. You know, to fit this agenda, to follow through with this agenda, this big plan that they're coming in. We don't know what's going on. You know, they've come on the news and they've talked about how that they spent money on this and spending money on this. I sat right here and watched them. And they said, well, how much money? Well, we're not allowed to tell you. All right, now listen. That's bullshit. Because that's our money. And we should be able to look at the checkbook and see where our money is going and what it's being spent on. Now, they'll always throw in that, well, that's a matter of national security. Oh, that's a matter of national interest and stuff. We can't have that. Bullshit. Unless it has something to do with something so sophisticated of equipment or something that we don't want the enemy or the countries like Russia and China to find out. That's a matter of national security. But to look at the checkbook, to find out where they're spending this money, where all this money is going, why nobody's talking about the trillions of dollars that has been missing over the last 15 years from 9/11. It was 2.3 trillion, and they lost another 6 trillion, and another 2 trillion, and another 3 trillion. You're talking about our whole national debt that they've lost in the last 15 years. I'd be real interested to look at these checkbooks. And you know, this BLM, I'm finding out that this is foreign owned. They have no authority there. These people have no authority. And I want to talk about this Bundy thing, you know. This thing, the last time with the Bundy Ranch and everything, that was, I thought there was no way that wasn't going to end in total bloodshed. And the only thing that saved them that time was them ranchers running out there and telling them BLM people, listen, don't you see all the guns pointed at you? Look at you. You're outnumbered. If you fire one shot, these people are ready to die for right now. They're ready to die, and they're going to kill you. You're going to be slaughtered. There are guns all around here pointed right at you. Don't be stupid. They have sent you in to slaughter. This is what they want. You are going to be the first ones to get killed. And then after they get killed, then they're going to send all their special forces in here. And then all these people are going to get killed. Nobody's going to go home today. They're all going to be dead. And that's why the BLM, people that were there at the Bundy Ranch, they just dropped what they were doing and they scattered and they left. They left thousands and thousands of dollars worth of equipment. Just left it behind. Because they went out there and they talked to them. There was a reporter and a rancher, and they went out there and they said, listen, this is not going to end well. That wasn't going to end well. I thought for sure that was the only way that would have got out from where they got the situation that they were in. The only way they were going to get out of is something like that to happen. And I think that these people in Oregon, they're sitting ducks. They're out there with no cover. They just came up with a name yesterday, you know. I think there's some plants in there, some troublemakers. And you can say, well, this is not the way to go about doing it. And other people will say, yeah, it's about time. Let's take back. We're sick and tired of it. There's more of that division right there. Now, they're divided into even smaller groups. Before we had the 3%er group, 3% of us. Now this is going to cause so much tension, big tug of war with the people, in, you know, the militias and the 3%er groups and the patriots that are actually out there doing something. You know, now we're going to be playing tug of war. There's going to be that division. We're going to be divided in half because now half of us are going to be like, you know, like one half of me wants to go, yeah, man, and wait till BLM comes in there. Wait till the FBI comes in there. I can't wait to see those guys, those militia guys and 3%er guys up there. They're going to have a big shootout. This will get things started. And we can start this revolution and we can all rise up and we can take down our government and we can get back our Constitution and all that. But remember, you're only helping Obama. Plus, something like that happens, there'll be a total all-out gun grab. They're going to come get our guns if this thing does unfolds ugly. And then it's not going to end well. This is not the way to go about doing it or the reason to go over doing it. But then there's the other half of you that'll say, oh no, this is stupid. They've ruined it for us. This is not the way to go about it. They don't even have the support of the Oregon 3%ers or the Oregon militia. Oh, this is not the way to go about it. You know, there's this big tug of war going on now. Because there's people there who are like, I'm ready to get killed. I hope this is the thing that sparks the revolution, something like this, because I'm ready to see some action and I'm ready to take this country back. And then the other half was like, oh, no, this ain't the way to do it, and this is got to be cautious. There's some people in there we can't trust, and this is, you know, this is really causing a lot of confusion. This is really causing a lot of division amongst us when we're already divided. And this is what they want. No matter how you look at it. No matter how this ends. We are being played as fools. We are walking into the trap. No matter how this ends, it's not going to be well. It's not going to end well. No matter what happens or if somebody's a plan, everybody just should be ready. Because we're going to find out in the coming days of how the chapter is going to end. I guarantee you that. But before I end this video, I'm going to remind everybody again, outside of my King James Bible, this stands whole and true to us. This is our country. This is our Constitution for our country. Men in blue and our active military and all the employees of these three-letter federal branches. Remember, we swore an oath to defend this Constitution and the American people first and foremost. Not anybody else, not President Obama, not Harry Reid. It's just a paycheck. Alright? Don't throw it all away for a paycheck. Because we may never get this day back again. When the bullets do start flying, and they are going to start flying, remember your oath. No matter what. There's some bad eggs in law enforcement. There's some bad eggs in these 3%er groups. But remember, we got to hold our oath to defend the United States, the American people, this Constitution with our life. Because once it's gone, you don't get it back. Once the Second Amendment is gone, it's already gone. What are you going to do? Give us back our Constitution or else. Or else what? Or else I'll say give it back again. Little truth and reality right here. We're going to find out who's keyboard warriors and who's real warriors soon enough. Some of us are going to go to meet our makers. And some of us are going to go running to the FEMA camps and the FEMA buses and the FEMA trains saying, save me, Uncle Sam. Oh. Yes, time is upon us, people. How you get to choose how you're going to live and how you're going to die. And better get right with God. Because we are in our end of days here, people. This is going to be a year that'll stand out in history above all others since the birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And He's the only one that I believe that can save you now. So you better get right with God. And this is not going to end well. I've said it before. This is not going to end well. We are running out of time.